For centuries, humans have been obsessed with measuring the intangible, time. And in every culture, time is viewed differently, whether in the Far East, where time is viewed cyclically, or in the Western world, where we tend to see things more on a linear scale. Time seems infinite when we're young, but speeds up as we get older. Yet, time is more than just a direction or a measurement. It's the true universal currency. It's deeply personal, fleeting when we're happy and endless when we're not. And to this point, you've heard the cliches. YOLO, tomorrow isn't promised, life is short. But everything you've been told about time is wrong. Maybe not wrong, but here's the real secret to making the most of your time here on earth. You have to live multiple lives. Now, wait a second. What exactly does that mean? Well, if the average person lives to be 75 years old, they're going to gain 75 years worth of wisdom or experience. But by living multiple lives as a jack of all trades, they can gain 150 or 225 years of wisdom and experience in the same 75 years of living. This is how you make the most of your time, living multiple timelines during the same 75 years. Much in the same way that video editing software has layers with multiple things going on at once, living multiple timelines and living multiple lives can look quite the same. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what constitutes as a life? It's not a side hustle. I hate that. Side implies secondary. Hustle implies burnout. It's not just being committed. It's not just being interested. It's being committed. It's not multitasking. It's multi-becoming. Let's talk about somebody who embodied this. Mo Berg was not your typical Major League Baseball player. As a catcher from 1923 to 1939, his batting average was a modest .243. But his mind was anything but average. He was fluent in 15 languages, and he once stunned a radio show quiz by answering all the questions in Sanskrit. But baseball was only part of his story. Berg was a spy for the OSS during World War II. The OSS would later go on to be the CIA. And so in 1944, he was sent off to Switzerland to attend a lecture by the renowned physicist Heisenberg with one chilling directive. If Heisenberg seemed close to building the atomic bomb, Berg was to kill him. Now, you don't have to live a double life of espionage and baseball. Living multiple lives doesn't have to be that extreme. A life is anything you devote yourself to long enough for it to change you and for you to change the world with it. It could be a new trade, a new job, a new career, or a skill you commit to perfecting. So why should you listen to me? Well, I'm living it now. That gives me a unique perspective that even someone that's done it before cannot have. I'm a high school business education teacher, a mobile barber, and a private baseball hitting instructor. And I decided to start living multiple lives when I was searching for more meaning out of life during COVID, when I went to barber school while our high school classes were moved online. And you may be sitting there and thinking, I'm already living multiple lives. Awesome. Then I'm going to prove to you that what you're doing is absolutely worth it. And if you're not, here's why you should. Living multiple lives allows you to have more meaningful human connections. Research from Harvard School of Public Health indicates that by diversifying your life experiences, you naturally expand your social network. You're going to be part of new communities. You're going to meet new individuals. And because of that, you're going to foster a variety of relationships. All right, you're sitting there saying now, well, that's awesome, Ryan. That's great. But where do I go? Go where you're frustrated. I once heard a pastor say that where you're frustrated is where you've been gifted. And maybe if it bothers you enough, it's your mission to change it. I became a teacher because I was tired of listening to people say that the next generation was lazy and entitled and disconnected. But when I stepped in the classroom, I didn't see problems. I saw possibilities. Young minds, mature enough to think for themselves, but still moldable enough to guide. And the most meaningful relationships from my life came from that decision. And I've kept a reminder of that on my desk. Mr. White, I was a very shy and negative kid when I first came to high school. And honestly, if you hadn't pushed me outside my comfort zone to get better and see the world differently, I'd probably be the same way. You've gone above and beyond to make sure not only that we learn, but that we also feel supported and understood. Like when you listen to Sarah talk about how me and her weren't close anymore. So you partnered us up for a project so that we could hopefully talk about everything that had happened between us, and we did. To be honest, if it wasn't for that project, we'd probably still not be friends, and it's simply because you cared about us and you made time for us. And as it turns out, these connections don't just feel good, they actually help you live longer too. According to the Nature Medicine Journal back in January of this year, they had a study that concluded that your social connections and having strong social connections is one of the greatest predictors of a longer life. Loneliness shortens it. And that's why I'm such a proponent of living multiple lives, because every single time that I start a new life, I gain a new friend. Relationships are the antidote for burnout. Living multiple lives will also allow you to make your greatest contributions to the world. You want proof? Just look at us barbers. We've been wearing multiple hats for centuries. Barbers had the original title of barber surgeons. And while they did haircuts and straight razor shaves, they also did things like tooth extraction, bone setting, bloodletting, amputations, and trepanation, which is, just drilling into the skull to relieve a little pressure. And that's where the colors of the barber pole come from. The red represents the blood, the blue represent the veins, and the white represent the bandages. In short, barbers have had it figured out for a long time that by having multiple lives and living those out, you acquire a variety of skills which allows you to contribute to your community in a major way. Now, I'm not pulling teeth and I'm not drilling in anybody's skull, but what I am doing is give my clients a safe space to speak their minds. And I'm creating confidence before their big life moments, like weddings, funerals, job interviews, prom, or the first day of school. I learned a barber's value once when I had a client give me a cash tip before the haircut even began, because as he said, this is the first time I've ever felt someone really listen to me. And that's why living multiple lives brings me so much joy, because contributing to others doesn't feel like work, and I'm serving a greater number of people as a result. Living multiple lives also allows us, and it tricks our brain into thinking and feeling that life is longer. Scientist David Eagleman has done work to prove that when we do new things, our brain perceives time as longer. It's called the novelty effect. And essentially, when we have more mental processing from experiencing new things, we form more vivid memories that stretch our sense of time. When we do things that are familiar to us, it doesn't require as much mental processing. And because of that, we do not form as many memorable moments, and it shrinks our sense of time. That's why when you're a child, everything feels so long, because everything's brand new. As adults, we get into repetition, and that makes our days blur together. You ever driven somewhere you routinely go, and you get there, and you don't even remember the trip? The more you do, the longer life feels. Doing the mundane shrinks time. Activity and adventure expand it. Therefore, living multiple lives expands time. You know, and baseball is a lot the same way. As a former player and coach and now private baseball hitting instructor, I can tell you that in the big moments, time just slows down. That's real. Science calls it time dilation, and it happens when skill and experience and focus all come together, all of which are aspects of living multiple lives. A game-winning hit really only takes about 10 seconds, but man, it feels like 10 hours. You may be to the point now where you're saying, okay, Ron, hey, that sounds great. I'm with you. But I don't know, man. The timing's just not right. If you're waiting for life's conditions to be perfect, they never will be. You have to be willing to create in the midst of chaos. Tarantino wrote new scenes as a video store clerk until Reservoir Dogs turned him from a clerk to a director. Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol broke with 4 kids and a pregnant wife. And it's not too late either. Samuel L. Jackson didn't get his big Hollywood break till he was 46, and Colonel Sanders didn't start KFC until well into his 60s. Ships that wait for the perfect conditions never sail. All right, Ron, I get it. I'm in, I hear you. But how do I decide which life to start? As Rumi once said, as you walk on the way appears. Clarity does not come before action. Clarity comes after action. So start a new life. Not to escape the old, but to bring more depth to who you are. Begin something that has the potential to change you. For where your frustrations are, there your gifts will also be. You know, and the fact that time is finite is actually a blessing if you think about it. You know, if we live forever, there'd never be a sense of urgency. There'd never be a reason to do anything today. If we're really honest with ourselves, nobody wants to live forever, but we all want to live fully. And when we realize that, we'll understand that living multiple lives is the only way to become our best form of self. The clock's ticking. But that doesn't mean you're out of time. It means it's time to live more than one. I don't have it all figured out, but I do know this. This way of living leads to more relationships, more love, and more meaning. And the more meaning we have, the greater gift we can be to other people. And in the last few minutes, maybe without you realizing it, I've added a new life as a TED speaker. And I've always wanted to say this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.